Inputs are a key part of any workflow, allowing you to pass in data at execution. In 0.24, we've made inputs even better by allowing you to make a HTTP request to fetch the options for your input selection. Let's have a look at how it used to work and what you can do now. So you're probably familiar with how inputs work in this case, where I'm using a select type input where the values are hard-coded, which means when I press execute, it asks me which of the three options I would like to select. And that will be the option that is passed through to execution, which we can see here in the logs. Now, this has been taken a step further a few releases ago, where now you can use the key value store to store a number of different options, and you can now use an expression to go and fetch that. So here, for example, I have an input here that then is going to have two other inputs depend on it, which means that depending on what I select, it will show one or the other. And then it will fetch the options from the key value store, which we can have a look at here. As you can see inside of the key value store, we have an array of options here, which it will dynamically fetch. And here's the other one too. It will dynamically fetch these, and so we can keep these up to date. But the issue is this is still technically hard-coded. This isn't fetching it from an API where the options might change regularly. So as you can see, with this option, I get the option to select my input, and then it will fetch from the key value store the other values. Now in Kestra 0.24, we've now got a HTTP function available inside of an expression. So this now means you can make a request in that expression property that we use for the key value store to fetch the options dynamically. So what we're going to do here is fetch from this dummy JSON URL, which looks a little bit like this. Let me make that a bit bigger. And as you can see, it's a big list of options where we've got different products here. Now, when I press execute, you'll see that this gives me the option to select any of the things fetched from that API. So this is great if this is a catalog of items that's constantly getting updated with new products being added every week. Now you can just make sure that Kestra is fetching that and you never need to update the values. And as you can see here, we can actually use that previous input in the next input too. Based on what we select, we can make a new request in the next input, which is dependent on it. And we can then use that input here to be able to narrow down the options. So as you can see here, when I press execute, I can select groceries, and now you'll see the product option is a bunch of groceries. But if I was to change this selection and change it to kitchen accessories, we'll see that now it's showing me different things. So this is a fantastic option if you are reliant on an API which is constantly getting updated and changing in real time, and you want your inputs to reflect that so you haven't got to manually update your workflow constantly. And here we can execute that, and we can see these were in fact the inputs that we selected. We can check that under overview and see they were the ones selected. And that was entirely done using an API. So that gives you a preview of the new HTTP function available inside of expressions. This now takes dynamic inputs to the next level where you can fetch data in real time. I'd love to hear how you're going to use this in the future, so let us know in the comments below.